Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on Canadian MJ. Just got back from a surprise trip to Ottawa to crash the TCG meetup there. Settling back in a new spot. I'll figure out the lighting eventually. But what we're looking at is an extremely weak market. The S&P 500 down 2% today. We're hitting fear levels, the lowest prices that we've seen in about, at this point we're talking 8 months or so. And we are dropping to lower lows. All of the lows that we have tested in the recent last 2 months on the S&P 500 have broken. So we have a bearish market, and we are going to see the Canadian MJ market reflect that. So at this point, we do still have a support level, and the bulls are holding up. You know, the bulls can't complain with how we are holding up. Obviously, it'd be nice to be in an uptrend, but that's just not going to happen when SPY is dumping 2% in one day, the entire market. The entire tech sector was down 2.6% at certain points today. So rising tides raise all ships, like the Canadian MJ sector enjoyed up until all-time highs, and lowering tides lower all ships, and that's what we're seeing going on right now. So if SPY weakness continues, if the SPY drops and breaks the February low levels, we're going to see Canadian MJ drop to lower lows as well. If it doesn't, and if we start to bounce and change some trends, then we'll see Canadian MJ respond to that. So again, I know it's difficult for some people to fundamentally accept that it doesn't matter what the fundamentals say. It doesn't matter what the individual companies are doing in the short term. What matters is what the S&P 500 is doing. That's pretty much basically what it all boils down to. And at this point, it's just all about 28.10 on CGC, and anything under 33.65 is just a lower high. So the hourly RSI is getting pretty extended down, and this after hours bounce is screwing that up for the bulls. So those of us who were looking for the potential of an hourly oversold bounce playing off of 28.10 for a bottom fishing play, that might get screwed up here depending on what extended hours does. So if extended hours gives us a bounce and a lower high, that increases the possibility that the bears show back up tomorrow and have, cooled off the RSI enough to break that 28.10 support. Whereas if we still see the hourly RSI weak and extended to the downside, that play off of 28.10 support will be a potential bottom fishing play to be keeping an eye on. So at this point, weekly time frame, we're not getting that weekly bounce following through. I was looking for that weekly bounce to begin shifting momentum. Obviously, SPY is not cooperating in any way, shape, or form. So at this point, all about 28.10. And if that level breaks, the next support level after 28.10, we're going to look to the gap fill at 26.37 as the next level after that. And the daily RSI will be approaching oversold if 28.10 does indeed break. APHA, daily time frame, held the higher low from yesterday. So again, bulls can't be complaining too much with the entire market down so significantly and holding some support. We have a daily inside bar to be watching. Tomorrow, a break of 770 would be bullish, and a break of 711 would be bearish. If we break 711, we look to 650. If we break 770, we look to 775, and then up to 840 as the next clear price level. So it's a bit more of a tightening range on APHA. We can see the 4-hour time frame, the lower highs are very clear at this point, and it's the bulls trying to form a higher low and then break those lower highs to change the 4-hour momentum and have us looking back up at the recent highs. The bulls holding on a little bit better than other names in terms of just yesterday and today in comparison, but it's all about how the overall market is going to react. APHA was down 3% today, and Cronos was only down 1.3%. So all depends on what your perspective is on the time frame that you're looking at when you're comparing these individual names. Of course, if we look at the weekly chart for APHA, a lot of work to do for the bulls to try and see any kind of recovery back to where we were before all the drama started to unfold. So it's worth watching the daily inside bar tomorrow. And if we get a bull break and a SPY oversold hourly bounce and the Canadian MJ sector gets some bounce, we'll be watching that key 770 and 775 resistance. And this is the Canadian ticker APHA. ACB. Let's make sure I'm Canadian here as well. So ACB on the daily also held the low of yesterday, but that level is in play. And if 715 breaks, look at the lack of support after that. There's no clear levels until the low sixes after 715, which is why the bulls really want to hold that level. Resistance of 806 and 831. And ACB is still positioned well. Again, the fact that SPY is dumping to lower lows and we're still so far above our lows on ACB, we can drop 20% before we're down to that support level. So there is some favorable comparisons, but still, we're not going to get any kind of bullish sentiment or bullish momentum without some kind of relief in this market for a bounce to play out. So the daily trend change will be confirmed if we can break 831 sometime in the next few days. This week, ideally, if we drop down and break 715, the odds of that bull break to confirm the trend change are going to decrease. So we broke the lower highs. Now we're looking for the higher low and higher high to confirm the daily trend change. But again, the weakness in the market is putting a stop to the bulls at this point. Cron on the daily. So Cron, we're looking for the daily higher low to form. We had a battle at low $11 support on the US side of things that broke today, but we did still close above it. Look at the lower high pattern every single day. Lower high now 6 days in a row. A double top today with Friday, 1174 and 1173. Bears had a nice entry at that resistance level, just top fishing that resistance. And again, we did end up breaking that support level. There's a gap to fill at 1057. So support is 1092 and 1057. And the bulls need to change the hourly trend to give us the indication that the daily higher low has been established. We did not change the hourly trend. We broke the lower highs, and we need the higher low and higher high to confirm the trend change. Just like ACB on the daily needs, Cron needed that on the hourly. We double topped and then broke support. Again, we did close above support, so I'm still watching this $11 psychological level, but the Bears have the upper hand, and it was just, I mean, the correlation here. Look at Cron on the 5-minute time frame after a very strong start today and overlay SPY and say, why did Cron fall apart? And there is your answer. Look at that correlation to SPY. SPY just shifted and completely dumped, and the correlation picked up significantly. Look at the correlation to start the day. SPY consolidates for 20 minutes. Cron goes up for 20 minutes. The correlation is weak all morning. It's there, but it's weak. And look when it picks up. When SPY breaks bearish on the 5-minute time frame, the correlation gets much tighter with Cron. And let's see if CGC ended up doing the same thing as well. So CGC, again, the correlation is there, but it's weak. And then once SPY broke bearish, the correlation picked up very significantly into the end of the day. So again, always worth watching SPY. Sometimes it's weaker, sometimes it's stronger. But if you are looking short term, it's a must to know what SPY is doing because it can completely change directions of what's happening, as we saw today for the Canadian MJ sector. Canadian MJ sector started green this morning and held up notably well into SPY weakness, and that all changed the second half of the day when SPY weakness really took over. TLRY is continuing as a falling knife. We knew there was absolutely no support nearby after 84.28 broke, and the Bears have done nothing but follow through on that break. And the next support is 55.55. So there's still a lack of support. Daily RSI is oversold. We know an oversold bounce is going to come and give us just a daily lower high on that bounce attempt. The hourly RSI oversold as well. So if we were to see an hourly oversold bounce on SPY, we would anticipate that TLRY is likely going to respond to that as well. Keep in mind that why is TLRY so bearish? Why is it so bearish right now comparative to everybody else? This is the market pricing in the shares that are going to become free trading to start 2019. So I don't expect a dump the day that those shares become free trading because this is the market recognizing that is coming right now. You can see that right now we are breaking to lower lows and nobody else that we looked at out of all the major names have broken to lower lows. So this is an example which is a bit unusual because you hear me talk about market psychology so much, and when the market knows something, it gets priced in. This is, everybody on Reddit and all these in the MJ Facebook group, everybody that's following the TLRY story knew that we were going to come way back down to earth from where we were earlier this year, back in October even. Obviously 300, we know we're pulling back, but even up at the 160, 180 range, we knew we were going to continue pulling back because the valuations were extremely high, and we knew that those shares were going to become free trading. So as those shares becoming free trading get closer and closer on the time horizon, they're factored in more and more on this pullback. So we're watching for an hourly oversold bounce, a daily oversold bounce just to form lower highs, no trend change anywhere near in sight for TLRY, but the volatility in terms of percentage gains and losses probably going to be more significant than these other more established names. So keep an eye out for TLRY's oversold bounce on the daily time frame to provide a decent opportunity, but I would not be looking to trade that unless you are very comfortable with oversold bounces as a trader. NBev standing out, up 12% today. So this US name NBev, we keep pointing out the daily uptrend, which is so rare in the MJ space these days. We formed the higher low on Friday, and we got right up to resistance and broke it just barely. It's a double top, 673 and 675, but we closed at the high of the day. Again, you look at this day, and it is so completely in the opposite direction of what everybody else saw, pretty much everybody in the MJ space. It is very notable. Resistance after 675, we have to look at extended hours, but it's up at 695 from that bull move. If we cannot break 695, look for a 4-hour equilibrium. So that's a potential top fishing play where, let's say the bulls show up tomorrow and we go to 680, 685. You enter bearish, maybe you put your stop above $7. And if we get the lower high, we're going to look to consolidate and then form a 4-hour higher low in the lower $6 range. So key resistance test approaching tomorrow, but I would not be surprised. And if I had to make a bet, I would say that we will likely reject from 695 and need some consolidation initially. But at this point, I would want to see how tomorrow morning goes first thing and where we start the morning comparative to that 695 resistance level. But the bottom line is bulls are extremely strong compared to everybody else on the daily time frame. Last, I want to point out TRTC. This is one of these names that we've been raising red flags on for a long time. I'm very familiar with this name. I've been watching it since its inception pretty much 6 or 8 years ago. And it is a huge red flag. I put out the video, the intro to investing in USMJ stocks, where I talked about fundamental research. TRTC was on my red flag list on that video for obvious reasons. We just saw a report put out talking about fraud at TRTC. I don't have a doubt that there is fraud going, well, I won't say the F word, but I don't have a doubt that there are shady things and red flags going on in TRTC. But I want to point out a scenario right now that hopefully hits home for some people, because right now on the message boards, I don't even have to read them, on iHub, on Stockhouse, whatever it is, there are people right now that are down 50, 60, 80% on TRTC. And you know what they're saying in that forum? This is an organized short attack. We need to report them to the SEC. These guys are scummy. They are just coming in for a quick hit to take our money. Don't sell. I'm going long. I'm holding. That's going on right now. And this is, maybe it's a different situation than some other situations that we've seen this happen to in the past, but I just want to let you know that the psychology of people that are so far in the hole on this name, and, you know, I sometimes lose myself and get into these discussions on social media where I try and grab someone by the shoulders and shake them really hard and try and wake them up. I had this instance where someone was in at 350 after the reverse split just happened. I tried to explain the fundamentals. He was long, not selling, and I just have to walk away at that point and say I tried. But OWCP was another one on Reddit where I was making posts about OWCP and just all the red flags, and that was up in the $3 range, and here we are trading at 14 cents. So there are scam companies out there. There are terribly, and it doesn't even have to be a scam company. If you have terrible debt structure and terrible share structure, dilution, convertible debt, all these key words that we need to research and fully understand, it's going to tank the stock price over long-term periods of time. That's what happened with OWCP. It's what's happening with TRTC. But my point is, number one, stay away from this company. And number two, the psychology of the people that are in this company. And obviously I'm making ties to APHA. I'm not saying APHA is a scam, but I'm saying that the psychology of the holders of APHA and their response to the short report is the exact same. That's what's going on in TRTC right now on this name that's down, 90+% in however long. So just something to think about and something to be aware of. And whenever I have an opinion or a bias, I'm always looking at the other side and saying, what if I'm wrong? What if XYZ scenario is the way it's going to play out? Because I want to have a plan for in case that is the fact and I am wrong. So overall, Canadian MJ, bears are in control short term. We have a couple key supports approaching the daily timeframes right now. APHA, comparative to the last 5-6 days of trading, as well as ACB, are holding up much better than CGC, which has clearly pulled back from its high much more significantly the last 4 or 5 days. TLRY, oversold bounce, inevitable, but a bit of a falling knife at this point. And Cron, definitely looking for that daily higher low on Cron still. It's just a matter of when is the S&P 500 going to give us enough strength on a bounce that we can see the Canadian MJ sector respond to it and see some bounce follow through as well. So overall, still remaining very protective of bullish positions until the market sentiment shifts. And we'll check back in tomorrow. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Do good things. We'll see you soon.